welcome to the course Augmenting Design Thinking with Human Computer Interaction. I'm Dr. Sonal Atre, faculty in the Department of Design at IIT Roorkee, and we will be studying this course together for the next few weeks, and I hope you have a good time. So, we'll start with a brief overview about humans and their technological needs. So, humans have always had an intrinsic relationship with technology. So, starting from simple tools to now the sophisticated ecosystem, the digital ecosystem that we have created for ourselves. So, we have come a long way. Technological needs are driven by the desire to enhance life, to improve efficiency, and also to solve complex problems that we face on a daily basis. In our society today, technology has entered every aspect of human existence. So, be it healthcare, entertainment, or education. So, we see that technology has integrated itself in the fabric of our society. And we can also look at the importance of this from an example wherein if the internet goes off for some time, how we all get paralyzed. Now, on one hand, this shows that how dependent we are on technology, but on the other hand, the good part being that how this technology helps us be more efficient and be more output oriented. Now, the need for connectivity, speed, and this efficiency has led to the rise of these products, like I mentioned, the internet or the smartphones or other smart devices, like even the smart home applications. So, all of these technologies are now possible and they are within reach by common man. And as these advancements continue, the focus is shifting towards creating more intuitive, user friendly, and sustainable solutions. So, the ongoing integration of automation, data analytics, and the artificial intelligence, even. So, this highlights the dynamic nature of human needs and it's pushing the boundaries of what is existing and it's reshaping the future that we see for ourselves. So, humans and their technological needs. So, in order to operate these modern devices, some of which are listed here, like smartphones and laptops and drones and other things. So, the users are required to engage with them, and this engagement or this interaction is possible through a variety of interaction techniques, which include touch, also voice, gesture, and visuals. And we'll see some of these in the next few slides as well. Now, interfaces such as a computer interface of any digital platform, so they serve as a medium of interaction between the user, which is the human being, and the device or the complex machine, it could be. So, it provides a mode of interaction to the user to communicate with the software or hardware depending on the need of the moment. So, now some of the important aspects of these interfaces are that they enhance user experience. Now, the interface requires to be intuitive so that the user of any age or any ability should be able to have a positive user experience. So, it will be required that the interaction is seamless and which gives a positive feedback to the user. The next point being functionality and efficiency. So, this can be achieved by providing clear navigation layouts that are consistent and intuitive, and controls that are provided to the user so that the learning curve is minimized and the productivity increases. The next point being engagement and satisfaction. So, for the user to be engaged in this interaction for a longer duration and for the user to also gain some kind of satisfaction, there have to be integration of visual appeal, interactive elements, and responsive design. So, these contribute to a more immersive and compelling interaction between the user and the interface. Now, since we saw that how technology is changing constantly, so the user also needs to keep themselves abreast with the changes that are taking place in this digital world, and they have to also learn to how to quickly adapt to these changes. So this interface also needs to take the user along with it, so that the user is able to also incrementally go ahead and learn the changes that are being incorporated. Of course, communication is an important aspect, because these two, the interface and the user, communication is a big role to play for the feedback and for the input that is to be given by the user. And this also leads to the next point, which is safety and security, that the interface needs to keep in mind the safety aspect of the user, so that any mistakes can be reduced. And because the user may be under, say, cognitive load, so how can that be balanced out, and how can the user not make any possible mistakes? So that is also an important feature. And lastly is accessibility, that how it should be accessible to people with different types of abilities. Now, human computer interaction is a multidisciplinary field of study focusing on the design of computer technology, and in particular the interaction between humans and the computers. So, in the context of human computer interaction, an interface is a crucial point of interaction between these two, and it facilitates communication and also allows a user to perform the tasks. So there are various types of interfaces, and they all have some unique characteristics. So I'll just discuss a couple of them here. One is the command line interface. So these are text based interfaces, and wherein the user is to input the command in a certain syntax, so that the output can be achieved. The next is the graphical user interfaces, which are most common, and they usually feature things like icons, buttons, and other similar elements, and the user can interact with them using a mouse and a keyboard. And the next is our natural user interfaces, which allow for more intuitive interactions, wherein the user can use voice or gesture. So they are more user friendly. And so understanding these different interfaces are really important and fundamental to designing these better computer interactions, human computer interactions. Now, based on the definition given by ACM Special Interest Group on Human Computer Interaction Curriculum Development, we can see that human computer interaction is a discipline concerned with the design, evaluation, and implementation of interactive computing systems for human use in a social context, and with the study of major phenomena surrounding them. So, there are several definitions, and this is one of uh, the definitions, especially regarding the curriculum development of human computer interaction. Now, human computer interaction has certain goals. The primary goal of HCI are to create systems that are usable, accessible, and which provide a positive user experience. So, usability focuses on making the system easy to learn, uh, efficient, and satisfying to use, while accessibility ensures that inclusivity for individuals with various different types of abilities is maintained. Now, HCI also emphasizes optimizing user experience by considering their emotional impact, the engagement, and the aesthetics of the interface. And efficiency and effectiveness are important aspects that can be incorporated by streamlining tasks and enhancing the performance. Also, we can see we have already discussed some of the points like usable and functionality and safety, and also how the barrier between the human cognition needs to be reduced. So, at the same time, we have to ensure that the systems are easy to learn, like we also discussed in the previous slide. And because this improves or enhances the learnability and also decreases the cognitive load on the user. So, these goals collectively, all of these goals They aim to enhance the interaction between the users and technology, and which makes this interaction more enjoyable and intuitive. So now the question is, how do we design an effective human computer interaction? So we will be looking at this question in the course of this particular subject repeatedly, but we'll just sum up a few important points that and here are some of the key steps that are listed here. At first being understanding the users and their needs. So we have to conduct certain kind of research and we have to empathize with the users. So understanding the users and their needs is what will lead to the next step, which is to define the goals, that what are the goals of this particular problem that we are wanting to solve. And then we come to the stages of ideation and brainstorming, which leads to the creative solutions. And throughout this process, we have to keep in mind that this whole process is user centered, wherein the user is involved in all the steps of testing, of gathering feedback, to iteratively refine the interface that uh, we have prepared, say, a prototype of. And of course the feedback, that is utmost important, and then how the cycle may get repeated. So now design thinking is a process which is non-linear, and it is an iterative process, and it is very helpful in solving complex problems. So, a definition by Harvard Business School says that design thinking is a mindset and approach to problem solving and innovation anchored around human centered design. So, now this definition also brings up another question, which is, what is the human need behind the product or service we are designing? Now, if we see this diagram, we can see that there are these three aspects which culminate in the middle, which leads to innovation. And these 3 points are desirability, feasibility, and viability. So, if we take out even one of these aspects from this whole equation, then it will not lead to, it may be a risky project to take on, and it may not lead to the success that we are envisioning. So it's important that all these three aspects are present while we are going ahead with this whole process of design. So desirability is that what is it that people want? Now there is a need that is uh, a good need, or something that is probably nice, but whether this need is just a need that is being fulfilled, which the product which is nice is fulfilling, or whether it was a must have need. So this distinction and other certain distinctions are important to understand that what is it that the user really desires. Because as we saw in the previous slide, where we saw the different steps of design thinking, we saw that user needs, which is the first point. So desirability refers to that certain need itself. The feasibility is that what is technically possible within the foreseeable future. So with the existing set of skills or services that we have, uh, how feasible it is to achieve that particular project that we are envisioning. And viability is that what is likely to become part of a sustainable business model, because sustainability is something that we have to keep in mind and integrate in the design process from the beginning itself. Now if we take a simple example, maybe of the electric vehicles, that how they are very a viable model for um, maintaining sustainable environment or maybe clean environment, but how feasible or desirable it is for the user. So will a user purchase an electric vehicle just because of these positive aspects, or another model which is of renting an electric vehicle, so that ensures that anybody who is renting a vehicle, or who is for a short duration they are renting the vehicle, so how they can fulfill their purpose at the same time maintaining the uh, the environmental cleanliness, right? So now this design thinking process starts with taking action and understanding the right question. So it is about embracing simple mindset shifts and tackling problems with a new direction. And so design thinking again helps in solving some of these complex problems wherein we may have to develop a system in order to achieve uh, the the highest possible outcome that we are thinking of. Now this is a diagram of the design thinking process. We will be going through this in detail in the next few lectures, and we can see that design thinking is a non-linear and iterative process of solving a problem, and it is quite evident if you just see the diagram that how there are these 6 steps which are going one after the other, but there are these arrows which are coming back to the previous step. So that is how the whole process works, wherein at any stage, at any given stage, the we can retrace our steps and then move forward from there. So that makes the whole process very user centric, and also it's a hands on activity. Here we can see, and as we have discussed some of these points, that what we're looking at while solving problem is user centric. So user is at the center of our whole design process. And then we're also looking at innovation and also at user satisfaction. So these are the key elements with which we're moving forward and applying design thinking, and then how it is enhancing or augmenting the human computer interaction. So now, if we take an example of, say, development of a smart home assistant, so we'll start by interviewing the homeowner and asking them their daily challenges, their goals, what do they want to achieve with this home assistant, their daily life schedule, what changes would they like. For example, if they would want some kind of an alarm system, or they would want some kind of a reminder to be set in the daily schedule. So now this would help us define the problem, that how we have a need for a more intuitive interface, and then it will lead to brainstorming that what are the possible solutions, possible outcomes that can be there, and then including features like voice commands, maybe some gestures, or some other input methods that may be more suitable for the user in question. So that is how then finally we will come up with assistant for a particular homeowner. And of course, when this research is conducted on a large scale, then we will have more sets of user needs, and we will have more sets of these input methods, because they may be different for different people. So this is just an example of how we can integrate design thinking in this human and computer interaction. Now, coming to need for design thinking, so there are several reasons that are listed here: human centered approach and solution collaboration. So, while going through all these points, we have to keep in mind that we have to keep the core point in mind, which is empathy, which is empathizing and understanding the user. That is the starting point of design thinking. That is the first step when it comes to design thinking, and it is important because we are ultimately designing for the user. So we are not designing for ourselves, we are also one of the users, but we are designing for a larger number of people, and for that reason we have to keep this empathy in check. Also the user involvement, that how involved the user will be in the process, so that is important, because we are problem solving through innovation, and like we saw that innovation is a culmination of the 3 points, which is the desirability and the feasibility and viability. So desirability of course comes from the user himself. So for that reason, keeping the user involved in the process becomes very important. And of course it's a iterative design process, and it is conceptual design, because something that may work in a certain part of the world may not work here in this part of the world. So we have to keep the context, that is very important. We have to keep the context in mind always. And also to keep in mind that the design process, design thinking is a cross-disciplinary or interdisciplinary field wherein people from all different backgrounds, they come together and put their minds together to solve the problem. And at the same time, the stakeholder engagement, the user engagement becomes important. And then communication and coordination is important because this is a big teamwork. So different teams are coordinating and collaborating. So because the ultimate goal is to solve a problem. And then for the same, we have to have shared vision and goals. And also the feedback is an integral point, because like we saw in the design thinking diagram, that how we can retrace our steps and start again. So the feedback helps us do that, so that the final product that we have is a successful product. Now, benefits of using design thinking approach are that we are able to understand the unmet needs of the users, and we, through the help of the process of iteration of design, we keep iterating until the desired solution is found. Now, this is a field, design or design thinking. It is something that one may not even have a background in design. So, but still, it is a process that we all can apply without even having a background. So, it is because it is an integration of art, design, science, and engineering. So, it is a very welcoming approach for anybody who wants to tackle certain big problems. Now, empathy as part of the design process, because then we also learn to empathize with people, with people with maybe different needs, with different types of challenges or different uh, strengths. So this helps. This whole exercise helps us understand that what other needs are there and how can we empathize with the ones that we live with. Cooperation of designers in the product development cycle. So like we saw in the last slide, that it is a teamwork, it is a multidisciplinary teamwork. So we need cooperation, and we have to provide our cooperation in order to develop this product. So it will be required at every cycle of this product development. Identifying gaps in behavioral theory and models. So, this can also help us identify certain gaps that may be there in models or behavioral theories, because we saw that how design thinking is not a step by step process, it's a very iterative process. So, it also helps us identify certain gaps that may be there and reduce risk in launching new products. So, like we saw earlier, that these three spokes of innovation. So, we have to ensure in the design thinking process that viability, feasibility, desirability all are taken care of, and then only the we'll move ahead with the product. Because if, like I mentioned earlier, if any one of the spokes is missing, or we have not catered to it, or we have sort of overlooked it, then the risk in the launching of new product and also in the success of the new product is quite high. So in order to reduce this risk in launching this product and also ensuring that this product is desired by people and it is successful, so we find design thinking to be a very useful approach. So this brings us to the end of today's lecture. In the next lecture, we will look at design thinking phases. So thank you.